Alright guys, welcome back to the show. I'm going to talk a little bit about the USDC situation currently and talk about Circle's announcement, because Circle is obviously the company that manages or created USDC, right? So I want to talk about that. There's a few facts, not too many, right? I'm just going to throw a few facts here. For example, the BlackRock company, the biggest company on the planet, actually manages Circle's funds, about 70% of that. They are heavily invested in it themselves, so that's good. You've got one of the top boys, I mean the top boys, right? You're kind of looking after the project, which is great. Of course it depegged, shit happens, end of the day, it happens in anything. We've had USDT depeg many times, right? So it's nothing new for us. So this does happen quite often, especially in these peg coins. I mean, you probably noticed the previous depeg we had was when USDT, was it USDT? No, what was it? Well, you know, the one that Luna had, right? That one, UST, yeah, it was UST dumped, right? And it depegged. It just never got back because there wasn't enough liquidity, and the developers just couldn't catch up with what was going on. And the mechanism was different as well, because it was an algorithmic stable coin, whereas in this one's not an algorithmic stable coin. It's supposed to track how many US dollars is in the bank, right? So when you have $40 billion worth of USDC total value on the market cap, and you have about $3 billion gone with the Silicon Valley Bank, SVB, sorry, my bad, Silicon Valley Bank. So what happens is, yes, we see this kind of a situation because that money is not now being tracked. It's not being tracked anymore. So that's what it was, nothing more. Of course, they can easily go in, manipulate the system, press a few buttons, and boom, you have your one-to-one ratio back again. And that's what's going to happen, because that's what they promised. They said, look, on Monday we're just going to do this. As soon as the bank's open, we'll do this. We'll upload something, right? We'll do something over the weekend, which no one knows about, and then everything's going to be back to normal. Stable coin's going to be stable again. Simple as that, right? And that's what can happen with centralized programs, but it's fine, right? Of course, a lot of people will lose a little bit of confidence because of what's happened. In fact, during the chaos, when this happened, right? So it happened around Friday when the news broke out, and people tried to withdraw their USDC from all sorts of protocols and DeFi and whatnot and this and that, and people got shafted heavily, right? There was this one guy, apparently, he tried to do a transfer for $2 million and he received $5 because Ethereum gas fees or something went up. Anyway, something ridiculous like this. But that's what's going to happen when you panic, right? Because people don't plan to fail. This is the biggest problem, right? And this is one thing that I've continuously mentioned to many people. I said, guys, you've got to plan to fail. If you are not planning to fail, then your whole plan is wrong. Your whole plan is wrong. If you're only planning to succeed, well, good luck. Good luck, because you're not getting anywhere. So that's the most important thing. And here's a good example of that, right? I think few weeks back I did some buys. I bought some dots and I announced it on Discord, and I showed everybody the wallet balance, and I said, look here, I bought some dot, but this is what I'm expecting. So I said, look, dot I bought when it first launched, dot I'm holding, right? So my average holding, and I bought some more, and I said, look, my average would be about $3.50 a dot. So if dot goes to $3.50 a coin, then I'm still breaking even, right? So that's one of the things you've got to understand. So I planned for it to fail. I said, look, I'm buying at $7 a coin. If it goes down by 50%, I'm still breaking even. I don't lose a penny. That's the beautiful thing about it. So I'm quite happy about this, right? Because my average buys was on that particular level, and I didn't really lose any money. So I'm happy with that. And it's all planning to fail, right? You know, when you buy BTC, when you buy Ethereum, you have to have a plan, because too many people are looking for the moon, looking for those moonshot coins, right? Or like, oh, when are we going to have a bull run? When we're going to start moving, and when we're going to start pumping? Yeah, we're going to do this, guys. Just be patient. Just be patient, right? When it's time, we will. It's not just about you and me, an individual choice that, oh, we're going to do this. No, it's a bigger narrative, right? Everybody, everywhere, at all together has to do it. We mentioned this, there's a movie like Everything Everywhere or something like this. Anyway, I mentioned this on Discord as well. There's a similar kind of way. The move will happen together. Now, of course, there's a lot of FUD in the market, right? Especially FUD regarding how exchanges are being penalized or scrutinized at least by SEC. They're saying all unregistered securities and this and that. Well, SEC is currently being held accountable for that themselves by Congress, because they're asking that Congress is asking, well, hold on, explain to us how you can come in and start defining certain things that you're not supposed to do. Your job is to make sure investors save their money. You're not there to make rules about what is what, right? So that's a good thing, right? And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, at least people are picking on this, right? Which is good news. But is the FUD finished? I don't think so. I mean, in my opinion, I think this FUD can carry on forever, because there is a lot more going on, but there are good things as well to look at. Of course, we see the most extreme levels of FUD during the times when BTC is about to reverse this trend, right? And I mentioned this recently as well. I'm not sure if I mentioned it on Discord or somewhere, I can't remember. But I said to someone, I said, do you know what the funniest thing is? If the dollar collapses, and we saw a little taster of this just in the weekend when BTC was predicted to go down, USDC dumps, BTC pumps. And this is the indication that I've been talking about. I said, if the dollar collapses, if the global currency, global fiat system collapses, that's when crypto will shine, all right? And that's when it's going to definitely shine, because where do you go? Where's the fastest way for you to go? So, for example, a lot of gold bugs will say, go to gold. Yes, unless you're already in there, how do you get to gold, right? If it happens on a Saturday, where are you going to buy your gold? Absolutely nowhere, right? So that's the kind of a situation. Whereas if you're going to jump into Bitcoin, well, guess what? It's available 24/7. And guess what? Even if exchanges collapse, right? So everything shuts down. The whole global, exchange system, right, to buy, sell Bitcoin collapses. Well, guess what? We go back to square one. We go back to basics, back to the old days when crypto first came out, when Bitcoin first came out, and people were basically buying on local Bitcoins, or person to person, right? Literally shopping around, making contacts, going through forums or whatever, actually physically buying. Those were the good old days, right? And that's what's going to happen, right? I think that's what's... So the governments and the SEC, the FCI, the FCA, whatever, FDIC, whatever you call them, everybody is trying to hinder the growth of technology and cryptocurrency, especially, right? They're trying to stop it in one form or another. But the funny fact is they can't. The only thing they can stop or slow down is you getting in and out, right? Or the current uncertainty in the financial markets. They might impact the situations that we have in people buying and selling crypto. But other than that, you actually can't stop something, especially when it's a layer of the internet, when it's a protocol layer of the internet, when it's decentralized, right, distributed amongst hundreds of thousands of computers, if not more, right? So that's the beauty about all of this, the decentralization, the way I see it. And I think there's great potential for cryptocurrency to start pumping. And I don't think any of this FUD really matters. So, of course, a lot of the people who, are bullish, who understand this market, who are buying into this market for the next 5 years, not 5 days, not 5 weeks, not 5 months, right? Remember, you're buying for at least 5 years. It's always the case. Doesn't matter what day you buy, as long as you're buying this for your future, then you just buy it and you forget about it, and you forget about it for 5 years, because every 5 years we will have at least one halvening within that 5 years. And we notice this every now and then. Is like the halvenings come along, and then the price structure kind of changes. So look, I'm not trying to be a bull here. I'm not giving you any financial advice here. This is not a financial advice, but it's just what I'm seeing. I think if something bad was about to happen, right, into the dollar system, right, whether it's whether it's a cryptocurrency or whether it's what do you call this, or fiat currency, doesn't matter what it is and where it is in the world. When things go wrong, especially with the CBDC coming, there's plenty of things going to be wrong with that, right? So when those things come in, yes, crypto is going to be heavily impacted, right, one form or another. But at the same time, crypto will also rise and shine, because the one thing crypto provides to you is decentralization. Your money, your bank, your currency, right? You know, and CBDC doesn't do that because it's their money. You're spending it. They track you. Full stop. They choose who you can spend and where you can spend, right? So these are the kind of things. So we are always going to have at least some form of cash, some form of liquid currency. That's what I would like to call it, right? Which is not controlled by governments. So that's how I see it. Yeah, let's see where it goes. But USDC for now, Monday, apparently it's going to come back to normal. Of course it's going to come back to normal. It's centralized. Why wouldn't it come back to normal, right? That's what's going on. There's no insurance claims, none of that business. It's just coming back to normal. So that's what's happening. With Bitcoin, cryptocurrency and everything, we have to see it go back to 35K before we actually start becoming super, super bullish. But at the ultimate moment, I mean, right now, anything at these current prices, like, you know, 19, 20,000, anything below this level, it's just a bargain. That's all I'm going to say. It's a bargain. Of course, there are people out there who are super, super bearish, who would probably turn around and say, oh, it's going to go to 2K, 3K, 4K, 5K. Well, guess what? If you've bought BTC, short the bloody thing. Full stop. You still make money, right? So that's what it is. I haven't shorted any yet, by the way. I haven't shorted. I've contemplated. I said, like, okay, should I start shorting the market or not? But no, again, it's just that moral obligation. It's like, nah, I just can't short it. I would love to do a short and leave it on 2x short or something and say, okay, you know, I'm happy to lose 5%, 10%, whatever. But nah, can't do it. I'm still just too bullish. I just want to stack up as many as possible. And for me, my stock buys are the most important. Like my current, like, you know, spot buys. Sorry, not spot buys. That's what's important. So I'm just loading up. That's what I'm doing, guys. I'm just loading up. I'm not bothered about any of these lending platforms. I'm not bothered about any of these earning platforms. I'm not bothered about exchanges. I'm not bothered about anything. Because of that, nothing matters to me, right? I've got my funds. I've locked it up where I need to. I'm not interested in earning anything from it. Of course, I do have some earning with Polkadot ecosystem, but that's fine. There's only a very minimal amount there, and they're coming into those exchanges. Again, most of those coins are not tradable, and even if they are, they're worth nothing right now, so I'm not really that fast. I think the next bull run, or at least when Polkadot ecosystem fully launches, that's when they're going to rise and shine, right? But looking at all of this, also we can see SEC has classed Ethereum as a security right now. That's one of the reasons why they're having the Congress thing. That could impact a lot of the ERC20s. So I'm glad I'm not into shitcoins. I'm not into many shitcoins or any shitcoins, right? I would say, because there are some from the previous season that I'm still holding, but most of them I'm not holding into any shitcoins. So I'm quite glad. That gives me an opportunity to actually choose what to do. I know some people have also talked about how should they be in the, you know, USD pairs like USDT or some other USD coin, or be in fiat. This is a question that nobody can answer. It's entirely up to you. It's entirely up to your risk factor. If the banks go down, your money also goes down. If the banks decide to shut down all the bank operations, you know, on a Friday night, well, you have zero access to all your money anyway. So whether you have fiat or not, the only thing that I could say is whatever you have in your own hands, in your own pocket, that's the safest, right? So cash is safe. You know, your Bitcoin in your own wallet is safe, right? You know, if you have physical gold, that's safe. Do you know what I mean? So anything you possess yourself is actually the safest way to hold an asset. Other than that, you're thinking about pen and paper, you're thinking about exchanges and this and that. Believe me, none of it is safe, right? So it's a decision you have to make yourself. Your money in a bank is not safe as much as USDT in an exchange is not safe, right? So that's how it is. So think about that and then make that decision yourself. Obviously, I cannot give you a financial advice. I am not a financial advisor, and you always have to do your own deep research, right? So do your own research, yeah, but do it deeper, right? Understand the implications. Just don't go off the bat of what someone says. Like me, if I turn around and say, actually, I'm going to be on this. No, don't do that. You have to weigh in your risk factors. If you don't, then you're going to be in trouble, right? So always understand this, that look, you know, if there is going to be a global recession or a global depression or a big massive financial collapse somewhere, somehow, right, then it doesn't matter whether you're in your money's in your own fiat currency in your bank, all right, or it's in your you know, in a cryptocurrency, USDT stablecoin or whatever, right? It doesn't matter, right? Ultimately, anything that has a centralized mechanism to them can have a stop button to it as well, and that stop button is what I worry about, right? Because if they put a stop to it, you know, just for the sake of it, oh, for safety until things come back. And you can see this, the USDC, most exchanges, in fact all of the exchanges apart from decentralized protocols, have blocked it. You can't move your USDC. Now imagine that same thing happens to your fiat, and it can. There's been occasions where it has happened. Someone recently wanted to do some transfers, and their money has been put on hold for trying to do a transfer, an account-to-account transfer, right? The person knows who I'm talking, you know who they are. But this is the kind of stuff that's going on, where the banks can decide who you send and who you not to, and if they choose to, they can put a block on your money. So you've got to be wary of all of those things, right? So, you know, it doesn't matter where you put it. The only safest place is if it's in your hand, right? If you've got your dollars, your dosh, your pounds, whatever, you got it in your physical hands. That's the only safest place right now, right? Until they render that useless, then obviously that's just going to be used like toilet paper, right? I mean, money, oh my God. The drama we have with money is unbelievable. You know, and if I wanted to just add something to this as well, right? So currently we have governments, right? We have governments, we have people we vote and we put into power, right? Let's just say power. I think certain powers should be taken off them and left for the people to decide. So for example, governments should maintain the law, right? And the law should be for criminal activities, not for growth. Right, if that makes sense. So what I'm saying is, if there are people who are doing anti-money laundering, this, that, whatever, yes, go after them, attack them, do whatever you need to do to protect people in that sense. So be there to protect everybody, right? That's what the government should be doing, not actually preventing people from growing. Now, growing means people should be able to enter whatever they want with limited risk, obviously, right? And be able to grow from that, not stop that, because all you're doing, you're stifling how these people could grow and be better, because the more money people earn, the more money people invest, right? Or they spend. And that's how we grow as a country, as a community, you know, as a population, right? Or as a global population, right? As humanity, we grow because we get richer, we get better, everybody does things. So those are the things the government should not be allowed to do. I think there should be some sort of a rule to say governments are not allowed to get into people's ways, right? And there should be rules preventing banks from also stopping people. Yes, they should have fraud prevention and all sorts of other stuff. Great, yeah. Security, great. But they should not be stopping people from spending their money as they wish to be better in life, if that makes sense. So obviously I'm not political, I don't vote, I don't give a damn about politics, but I think there are certain things, there are certain changes we need in politics itself in order for it to, you know, allow an average person to grow. Like, for example, we've got cost of living going up, right? Now, this is a funny fact, right? You got cost of living, we had loads of money being printed. But the funny thing is majority of the money that was printed, you know, during the pandemic was actually given to companies who could have afford, you know, to survive anyway. They had multi-million pound companies, right? So they're fine anyway. But they were the one who benefited the most. Now, people who didn't benefit are the average user. Now, the average user is suffering from cost of living. Again, the multi-million dollar companies or the rich and the wealthy, they're not affected. What's it going to do, right? They're earning, you know, a serious amount of money. Put it this way, let's just say for average, someone who earns 100K, he's still earning 100K, so his cost of living doesn't really go up as much. It doesn't affect him as much. It's only a little percentage of what he earns. But some average Joe earning 10K, for example, or 15K or 20K, just for the sake of it, right? He's going to feel it. So if you do the maths on percentage wise, everyone's had the same percentage go up, but the poor fella with the 20K a year is actually finding it harder than the guy with the 100K a year. So again, this is the thing, the minority will never be affected, the majority will always be impacted. So in order to protect the majority and allow the majority to get out of this cycle, right, governments need to make rules that allow people to go and grow. That's all I'm going to say. I've had a long drive. Believe me, normally I would cut the video at this time, but I've driven the whole distance of the motorway at 65 miles an hour, and I thought, you know what, just need to get this in there. So other than that, guys, I'm not going to say anything. I hope this video is informative. Of course, the audio quality might be crap, but who cares, right? I'm just trying to get that message out there. I don't have time to sit down and do this whole thing for you. I'm just very spontaneous. So whenever I think there's something for me to say, I'll say it. And that's what I've just done here. I've just said what I thought, whatever's in my head. And I hope this kind of helps, right? But just be safe. But remember, you know, there are things, none of this is financial advice, right? But as I said, there are things you got to look at. Sometimes just look at the opposite direction, the opposite way. What's the impact of something? When money goes down, what happens? People will always need money. When CBDC comes out, what happens? People will always need some form of money, right? And that form of money could be anything. Could be crypto, could be gold, could be silver, whatever. Doesn't matter. But the point is there's always going to be a requirement, right, in the communities, right? There's always going to be a requirement for some sort of a healthy trading or cash equivalent. We might even go to a barter system. You might give me a hen and I might give you a cow. I don't know, but we might even have that. Hens may be very valuable at some day, right? And cows may not be. Nobody might want a cow anymore, right? No one wants beef anymore. Everyone's becoming vegans these days, right? So yeah, you never know. So yeah, I mean, look, it's one of those kind of things, right? You just got to think the opposite way and see what happens. But other than that, guys, hope this was informative. I'll see you on another one very soon. Adios, my amigos.